Good evening, everyone. It is great to see all of you who are on live, and hello to all of you who are going to catch the recording of this one that is absolutely already recording. So for those of you who are new and wondering what is a multi-nations call, I just want to, revisit that for a second. Someone's in the waiting room there. It is 5 nations that come together just once a month, the first Tuesday of each month, which was April 5th, but it didn't get recorded. That's why we're doing this unusual time right now. But it's Megan Buccelli, Angela Medeiros, Kristen Gladhill, Connie Cahalo, and myself. It's all of our nations. So that's the first Tuesday of the month. And then be sure that you check your nation's schedule for when your other nations calls are. So last time we began the call with recognizing all the consultants in all of our nations who earned the Arbonne incentive trip to Cancun. So I want to do that again, especially for everyone who's going to be watching the recording in Connie's nation. That was Lindsay Schwartz and Molly Pazant. In Megan's nation, Iman Husney. And in my nation, Fran Babishak, Rihanna Peasy, Amber Fry, Connolly Stewart, and me. And yes, I earned it, but was unable to go. If you're wondering why I was not in all those pictures, it killed me because all 4 of those who went in my nation are not only great teammates, but they are close, personal friends of mine. And it killed me not to be able to go and be there with them. But I loved watching their stories every day, getting their texts and seeing them fully embrace all that Arbonne was giving to them to reward them for their efforts and their success. And for Fran, Rihanna, and Amber Fry, it was their first incentive trip. And they are now right there agreeing with us that once you've gone on one, they are highly addictive. You want to be sure you earn the next one and the next one. So tonight you're going to hear from Rihanna on what this trip meant to her and her family. You're going to hear from Molly too, on that. Molly wave, my nation doesn't know you, or some of us don't, but anyway, it's so good to have you with us on the call. And Molly is going to share both on the mindset shift and the activity that went into her earning her first Arbonne incentive trip. So get ready to take some notes. But before they talk, I'm going to spend just a few minutes on helping you see that this next trip, the Punta Cana trip, is within your reach, even if you are at 0 points right now. I laugh when I think about what went through my head 15 years ago when my sponsors started talking about these incentive trips. I was so skeptical. I didn't know anyone in Arbonne. My sponsor, I didn't even know my sponsor. And I thought, why would I want to go on a trip with all these weird salespeople? I do want to earn money, though, so I can take my own family on trips and we'll go away all by ourselves and we'll have a great trip. But I'm not going on one of these weird salespeople trips. Well, then when they announced the very first trip that I could earn after I started, it was to Atlantis. And that place looked so magical. I thought, I have to earn this. Maybe I'll just hide from all the Arbonne people or something. And I saw the requirements. I looked at that. I divided it into the 6 months. I made a plan. I worked the plan. I earned it with 1 month to spare. And I promoted to area during the process. And then I went on the incentive trip. And I did not find any of those weird salespeople there. I found people that I wished I could bring home with me and just plant in the neighborhood all around me. There were people I would choose for close friends if we all lived in the same town. And then, they did become friends as I saw them on more trips and more trainings. And I was just in awe of just how genuinely encouraging and loving and welcoming they were to this newbie area manager that pretty much no one knew. And since then, I have earned not every trip, but almost every trip since that time. And it's one of the most incredible perks that Arbonne offers because it really is a level playing field, especially with these new qualifications that we earned Cancun with, and they're the same basic qualifications that for Punta Cana. It gives everyone lots of choices in how you can earn it. You'll hear Molly talk about that in a minute. We can earn it completely on product sales to our clients and preferred clients, or promoting managers, or some combination of that. You get to make your own roadmap. So it really does start with a decision. And I found the more people you share that decision with, the better. Even though my daughters were grown out of the house when I was earning my first trip, those like Connolly, Rihanna, I'm looking at right now, who have children and told their children they're earning this trip. I mean, they were on the line. There was no choice, but they were going to earn it. Your kids, if you have kids at home, are the best accountability partners you could ever have. But just sharing with friends, families, those are at your virtual or in-person parties. And as you share the opportunity somewhere in there, you can add in your own words something like, I love that Arbonne offers two 5-star resort all-inclusive incentive trips every year. I am so excited to be on my way to earning a week in Punta Cana for myself and my husband, or myself and my family, or just for myself, that's going to be in September. So the decision is step one, but that's all, if that was only decision, we'd all be earning it easily. Here's more. It's fueling that decision with belief. And the way you start each day is so important. You can either go into the day running on empty, running on negative thoughts, letting them go unchecked, living in red light stories. Listen to Bob Heilig if you don't recognize that line. Or you can start the day feeding your mind with truth, speaking life over yourself and your business. If you're a district manager or higher, you can ask your MVP to add you to a really great Facebook group. It's a 90-day boot camp called Power to Empower, and it's several nations coming together to really support and train, encourage district managers and up who are committed to promoting one level by Empower Live in July. So if you are not yet a district manager, promote on May 1st, and you can be added to that group. And if you have not listened yet to the first messages in there, the first one by Victoria McHugh is straight fire. And I hope that all of you listen to that and say, why not me? Why not me? And just, when you do promote, you'll get 200 points for earning towards the trip. And also just that sidebar about Empower Live. This is the first time ever in all Arbonne history that they're going to recognize new area managers on stage in front of thousands of people. And then the white party, which you've already heard so much about. So going with the boot camp, the Power to Empower, it's highly recommended, no requirement, but we're using the 90-day cycle to new habits journal. And just think, what would it mean to you to commit to new habits in your thoughts, new habits in your mindset in your morning, new habits in how you speak truth over your business, and in making it just so much about the other person and what our 30 Days to Healthy Living, our other products, and our opportunity could do for them, that you can't help but ask and offer all the gifts that Arbonne has to offer as a way to love and serve others. For just a plan strategy, I don't want to go through that tonight because it's different for where each person is, but get with your area manager or regional vice president and map out how you can go from whatever points you are now to what you need to earn the trip. I'm going to take a quick moment to share my screen. This is going to be about a 2-minute part here. And I want you to take a look at, this is all going with, what do I need to do to earn this trip? This is all tying in. Take a minute and start at the bottom of this and just read all the way up and ask yourself which area you are currently working from. I don't want you to type it in the chat because I think everyone will be more honest if they just write it down personally. Just gonna give a second. Can you see that if you're working from one of those lower levels, let's just say maybe a place of frustration or fear, you're going to attract people who also operate at those levels. It really takes being at the highest levels. And I'm not doing this justice, but I just want to give you an idea, and you can go back and look at this chart later. It takes being at the highest levels on this chart to attract positive, joyful, hopeful people into your life, into your business. Sometimes it can be as simple as flipping a switch and just making a choice, but often it involves going from one step to another, like doing some work to recognize where there is a red light story, where there is a limiting belief, that's holding you back, and learn to exchange those stories in there that are not serving you for true stories that do serve you. And then when Deanna Herron did a training on this, she had two things that really stood out to me that make a difference in moving up the scale. One is simply starting the day with gratitude, whether it's speaking it out loud, writing it in a journal. Your 90-day cycle to new habits has a place for that. And the other is just to ask at the beginning of each day, how can I encourage and love someone today? And that has nothing to do with your business, but it's just all about becoming that person that's the best version of you. So I am going to stop for a second and let Rihanna and Molly share. Rihanna, go ahead and unmute yourself. And then Molly, you just jump in right after Rihanna. I can't wait to hear from y'all.
Thank you, Dina. And I'm sorry, you guys, we didn't get to watch the first one. I am just as enthusiastic as I was the last call. And so Dina asked me to share like what my vision was and how my belief has just been uplifted by going on this AIT trip. So I've, like, probably Molly's gonna say the same thing. We've always registered for these trips and I hadn't earned one before. You know what I was noticing too, Dina, is that I was goal slicing the whole time I was doing AIT. So goal slicing is something we learned a long time ago, just like literally taking the number, slicing it up, going throughout the day. And I noticed I was sending it to my RVP, Amber Lillestrøm, and that was just to get in the mindset. And then I got into massive activity. And I think those two things just make you totally unstoppable. But this trip, it blew my mind away. It was so incredible. The Arbonne team is just so good at putting on events, that event team. And so it's just like going to GTC. If you've never been, you're about to go to it, hopefully. And they take the time. It was just very sweet, very special. I loved just how my kids were blown away, and my husband got to meet, Ryan and Larry and Basil and other husbands, and he got to like understand a little bit more about the business from their perspective, which grew his belief, which then just fuels my belief and my commitment even more, to have him understanding this is like a lifestyle. Like, you can literally change your life. You can be the ladder holder, you can change someone else's life, and they can all experience these amazing opportunities. And I love to travel, and we didn't travel a lot as kids, either did my husband, because we own a motel. He owned a motel, and we own a motel now. And now, like, my kids just have it in them. They're like, are we going to go on the next trip? So anyway, that is really, I think that's all I said in the beginning too. But I think the belief that we have in this company is stronger too, by seeing the families, by seeing the products, by seeing the leaders, and like they're right there at, the swim up pool with you, and just like, chit chatting and, being with their kids. Was such a fun, it was the best vacation we've ever had. Loved it.
I love that, Rihanna. And I loved watching your girls and Connolly's boys play and just do all the things together, and just all the family pictures. I could tell you were just soaking it all in. And
oh yeah, they kept saying, where are the Stewart boys? Saying, where are those Peasies? It was really fun. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Molly, go girl.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I am going to try to replicate what I did last week. It might not be exactly, but I'm Molly Pazant. This was also my first Arbonne incentive trip that I've ever earned, and it was completely life-changing. I don't know how else to say that. It's like Rihanna explained, and you guys have an idea of how Arbonne takes care of us, but everything from like getting off the shuttle bus thing at the hotel and being handed a flower and a margarita, and then a whole buffet of snacks. And it was just, the place was absolutely incredible. This was actually my first trip out of the country. First time I had to get a passport. First time I've been on any sort of tropical, anything like that. So it's absolutely mind blowing. And I'm not trying to say this as like a badge of honor, explaining how busy I am. I'm going to pull a line from Debbie Neal. If you guys listen to her, she always says, I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you. So I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you that it's possible. I am a single mom of 3 kids, 10 and under, including a set of 7-year-old twin girls. So that's a lot, if you just take a moment to think about that. I still have a full-time job of 25 years, I have an old house. I have a high maintenance dog. I volunteer in multiple arenas. So I have a lot going on. I do not have a ton of time to work this business, but here we are. And so this trip, I'll be totally transparent. Rihanna's kind of said the same thing. Like, I've always registered for the trip and I've kind of played along and been like, oh yeah, I'm going to register for this trip. That'd be so great. I'm going to go to Atlantis. I never really believed it, to be totally honest. Sometimes I would print off the tracker and I would hang it up, or it would be in a mess on my desk somewhere. But I never really thought I was going to do it. And then the last trip to Atlantis that they ended up doing a payout canceling, I was super, super close. I had the volume requirement, actually blew past the volume requirement, but I still needed the promotions in order to earn the trip. And I missed that by, I think it was 1 or 2. So that was the first time that I've really seen that I could actually do this. And so when Arbonne announced the Cancun trip and you didn't have to have the promotions, I knew it was just based on my personal effort and I knew I was going to earn it. It was like this shift, and it gives me goosebumps today where I can say, oh, that's mine. I'm doing it. Because honestly, like, if I set my mind to something and it's just up to me, I know I can make it happen in multiple areas of life. So that's what I did. I printed off the tracker. I hung it up on my wall in my desk. I'm pointing over here. Hung it up on my wall in my office. And I just started filling in those circles. And I did the math. And I was like, okay, so every month I need this much volume. And if I get promotions on top of that and thus earn more points, awesome. But we're just going to look at that as gravy. We're not going to count on that. So I just did the personal activity. And honestly, to be really clear, like, I didn't work my tail off. I worked consistently. I did not work constantly. Part of the reason I pointed out like how much I have going on in my life is just to make that clear that, like, I don't have hours and hours a day to spend on my Arbonne business. It's little bits and pieces here and there. I had not been doing tons of parties. It was just really like, I lost my train of thought. I'm looking for a word. Basically focusing on the time that I did have and when I could do some sort of activity, like making sure something happened. And then just having the motivation of having that tracker and filling in those circles every day. I told my kids about it. I did not take my kids on this trip because I needed to go check it out for myself before I start taking kids internationally and all that by myself. But they knew about it and they were looking at it every day with me and being like, oh, Mom, look, how many points? Can I fill this one in? So on and so forth. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I didn't work constantly. I worked consistently. And once again, with this last one, I blew past the volume requirement and I actually earned level 3, which was the bonus cash. So I had it earned, I think, in October, and the qualification went through December. So I was like, well, I guess I'll keep going. And I did. And that came in real handy. And I will tell you that, like, it's not going to happen again. I'm not going to miss another trip. So for Punta Cana, I have my tracker up here and I have 875 points, and we need 1,000 to go on the trip and then 2,000 to get the bonus cash. So I will definitely be there. I'll see you guys there. And I wanted to point out, like, you have to convince yourself, you have to make that decision, and then you have to believe that you're going to do it. You can't just, like I did for so many years. I've been doing this 12 years, you guys. So you have to, like, print it off and then do the math and say, okay, every single month I need to have this amount. And if Arbonne gives us double points some month, great, gravy. Don't count on it though. But you have to decide that you're going to be there. And I want to point out something that Evelyn Bennett talked about in, where were we? Cancun, not Punta Cana. I think it was her, I can't remember who talked about it, but basically there were the levels of consultants that were in Cancun. There were 50 district managers that earned the trip, 365 area managers, 240 RVPs, and 90 NVPs. So that, I think, is so telling as far as anybody at any level can earn this trip. And it's going to boost your business. It's going to boost your belief in a huge way. But to me, that was astounding that the biggest group of people that were there were area managers, which is the level that I'm at now. So you can absolutely do it. Just like Dina said, if you have 0 right now, you can absolutely do it. You just have to make that decision and then back it up with actions. So I'm very much looking forward to another trip coming up in September already. Going from 0 trips a year to 2 sounds amazing. That's it.
Wow, Molly, that was awesome. You and Rihanna both But thank you for just breaking that down and showing us it's that old principle in Arbonne that I've heard from the beginning. If it's to be, it's up to me. And that's what I love about this trip. It's like, I didn't have a promotion on this one either and earned it on. It's like, okay, then I will earn it on my own, efforts to, share the products with others. And it makes you know that you can do it. So that was extremely inspiring. And did you see me type in there? You're ahead of me, girlfriend. I'm chasing you. I'm going to have to be texting you. We've got a little Voxer group going here of points. But anyway, that is cool. I am so proud of you. And I'm going to be on that next one. All right. I am going to close with the same story I closed the other call with. Now I'm hearing some background noise somehow. Everybody. Okay, we got it. And this is a story that I heard Cecilia tell. So I did not create this. Maybe she did make this one up. It sounds as creative as Cecilia can make it up. So picture, hypothetically, that we are all in the same room, and not just those of us on the call live, but picture all of your nations that are on these calls, and picture that we are all in a room having a monthly meeting, training, recognition, big, and a new person walks in the room. She's been researching Arbonne. She's been taking a serious look at the opportunity. She's decided that she wants to build this business, and she walks up to the front and announces that she is going to announce tonight who she has chosen for her sponsor. Now, she has no knowledge of anyone's QV. She doesn't know their title. She doesn't know how long anyone's been in Arbonne. But she says that I have a special power. It's a power that lets me know your commitment, a power that lets me see your calendar for the last 2 weeks, a power that lets me see your work ethic, to see your thoughts, to hear your thoughts, to see how you taught, to hear what comes out of your mouth, to see your personal activity, to know the level of leadership you call out of yourself. I am about to announce the name of my chosen sponsor. At that point, would you be thinking, it would have to be me? It must be me. She's going to call my name. Or would you be thinking, no way on earth has she chosen me? That's how I ended the last call. But right when that Zoom call ended, I got a text. I hope she'll listen to the recording, but she saw the last call, obviously. But I got a text from Kelly Fetchko, who is an awesome district manager in our nation. And in all caps, her text said, it would have to be me. And I loved that. Kelly teaches full-time. She has 3 young children, including a 3-month-old baby, but she is working her business with big goals, activity to match, and taking initiative that, matches those goals. So I texted back, yes, it would. And I love that. I hope every one of you listening tonight can say, it would have to be me. But what does it come from? If you can say that, keep doing what you're doing. If you're thinking maybe not, what it comes back to is doing the little things that when no one's watching, no one's cheering, winning in the dark, just doing the work when no one is watching or praising, and just committing to what we've always said from Keith Kochner, little step, little step, little step. Watch for the opportunity, seize the opportunity, and get right back into the little steps, little steps, little steps. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And I'm going to end the recording. Thank you again, Rihanna and Molly. Y'all were awesome. Love you all. Oh, I didn't stop the recording. Where is the recording?